Okay, so the last set of tools we're going to be looking at is actually this set down here. They're sort of the vector tools, the live drawing tools. We haven't talked about vector too much yet in class, but basically they deal with shapes that can be reshaped and resized rather easily, including text, which we'll start with text because that's actually kind of the easiest, right? So we click the T here. I click anywhere in here, and I type a bunch of stuff. And then I go back to my move tool because I'm done typing. That's the only way to get out of the type tool, is to like click on something else. If you stay on the type tool, you can't hit enter, it'll just go down to the next line. You can't hit any of the hotkeys because it'll just type them, right? But what I mean by live is this. First of all, I can move it around wherever I want. But also, if I bring up, let's see, if I double click on it, I can bring up all my selections again, and I can change the typeface. I can change whether it's bold, semi-bold, italic, etc., etc. I can change the size. And now normally with bitmap stuff, we can't zoom in, we can't zoom out. All of these things are not available to us, at least not without ruining the quality of them. But with these tools that are down here, your text, your shapes, your pen tool, these are live editable, meaning you can edit them however you need to. I can change the color. Right now it's the text is a weird gray color. I can make it black, I can make it blue, I can make it orange. Let's make it dark blue, just cause. There we go. Right? So I can edit the text anytime I want. I can double click on this T again and say, I spelled "offed" wrong. You know, and change however I want this written. I said before that you can have, you press enter, you get the extra line. Some things you have available are also centering the text or left align. I'm sorry, right align. Left align is the default because that's how we write in English. There's also, if you go to window, paragraph, lots of different options for spaces between lines. Under character, you've got kerning for between letters, right? Space between lines. You can change all of this live. It's all underneath in this character section right here. Alright, so that's text. Similar to text are these shape tools, which we'll stick with rectangle. And I click on it. You can see each time I use one of these symbols, or one of these tools, it makes me a new layer. These are things that right now cannot exist on a layer with something else. We'll get into how that changes in a minute. Alright, so I've made this tool. I can change the color here. Purple, green, whatever I want it to be. I can give it an outline. That's what this symbol is, right? I can give it whatever color outline I want. I can apply a gradient to it. You guys are going to be working a lot with gradients in this class. Gradient means going from color A to color B. I ended up doing that along the inside. Or outside. I wanted to kind of do that along here, the inside. There we go. Now any gradient works like this. You click on the light color, double click on it, and then you can choose what the light color is going to be, right? That's where the white was. And then you can double click on this black one, and you can have it fade to whatever you want. You can have green fade to white. You can have green fade to blue. Right? I can tell it to rotate 90 degrees. Whoop, nope, nope. Did that in the wrong place. There we go. I can tell it here to unrotate actually from 90 degrees so that it's going in this proper direction. The line width, that's this right here. So this outside line, I can change it. This is where I change the size of it. So if I suddenly decided I'd like it to be a little bit smaller. Alright, and then when I'm done, I can just click off, and I can still always go back to this. Right? I could just pick up my shape tool, and if I'm on the layer I was on, cancel. Huh. One of these properties, there we go. this right here where you see a cube and two things and then another little drop down box, that's the properties for whatever you're working on. I have to be on that layer though in order to change that. But you can always go back and change things. Now what if you've gotten done with everything, but you want to take an airbrush to this, maybe paint a little on it? Well, right now you can't. If I bring up my paintbrush tool and I set the hardness down to 0 and maybe the opacity down to 20 something %, and then I go to click and I get this. I could click on it and I get, went to the other monitor. This shape layer must be rasterized before proceeding. Now, what that means is, right now it's live. It's technically a vector. I can squash and stretch it, and it'll maintain, its resolution. It'll maintain looking nice. Same with this text, actually. I can't go on it. So what does that mean, rasterize? Well, it means make it look like the rest of this, where on this particular background, I cannot separate this paint stroke right here from like these paint strokes. They're all smushed together. So with these two vector layers, I can right click and say rasterize layer, and now this is just color like the background is. I go to properties and nothing. No shape, no changing anything. If I want to change it, I have to interact with it the same as I've been doing, and now I can use the brush on there. There's kind of no point in doing that. I can use, the burn tool. Make this much larger and kind of make it a little bit darker on the one side. This is pretty typical. Well, this will work better in the midtone. There we go. Alright, so I can now edit this the way I need to. Or the way I want to, but I can't go back. I can't suddenly get back. Oh, I want this to be vector. Nope. You're stuck. You're stuck with it being like this. Same with the text. So it's kind of a one-way street. Oftentimes what I would do, again, I've mentioned this before, let's say, oh, I want to, be able to go back and change the text just in case. I could, save this, which I should have anyways. Don't show again. And then I can do file save as, and I'll say, alright, this is text raster, and it means I'm rasterizing the text so that I can always go back and get the text from the old one if I really needed to. I'll always have it saved somewhere. Alright, let's see. Text. The pen tool is another one of the object tools. We're going to get into pens much more when we get to Illustrator. I click, and it creates a pen line. Now, whether that line is used for selections or masks or anything else depends entirely on what you choose, but we're going to get more into what that means much later. These bottom two tools right here, these are not for doing anything other than manipulating your view. You guys probably saw me doing this a lot. Zoom in, zoom out, right? Technically, that's what this is. You can select it and you'll be zooming in unless you hit Alt, which means you'll be zooming out. I highly recommend learning Control Plus and Control Minus rather than doing that because that's just tedious. This other one, it's called the, I call it the hand tool because it looks like a hand. Technically, oh, that's what it's called. Isn't that nice? It brings up this, and it means you can pan. A lot of people call this the pan tool. Panning means sliding from one side to the other around your document so you can find your way around things. Like if you get too close, right, to something, you can move your way around. Again, though, I never go down here to use this tool because my space bar, which is the largest key on the keyboard, toggles it. If you're holding down space, you can pan across without changing whatever tool you're on, and then you let go and you can go back to having your move tool or whatever tool it is you need. So I highly recommend learning those two hotkeys more than anything for these programs. Control Plus and Control Minus zoom you in and out, and the space bar will get you this hand tool. And that's universal for almost every Adobe program and even some non-Adobe programs.